Skyrim the board game, Monsterpocalypse, and more information about the Marvel Zombicide game on this episode of The Sunday Show. What's up, guys? Welcome to Brews and Board Games, and welcome to another episode of The Sunday Show. I do know it is currently Monday, and there is a reason why I'm just releasing this video now instead of yesterday. But if you like what I do here on the channel and you want to see reviews, playthroughs, unboxings of some really great games, please think about subscribing to the channel and giving this video a like. Everything truly helps out, and I do really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get into why I'm actually releasing this video now, The Sunday Show, on Monday. There was actually a live Q&A or a live stream from CMON about their upcoming release for Marvel Zombicide. Now, some of you probably have already heard about this, but some content creators got this large, I don't even know if you can call it a mini. It's like a bigature or a maxature, something like that. But this thing was 2 feet tall by like 17 inches at the base, and it was this huge Galactus from the Marvel Universe. And some content creators got it as a zombie, and then Tom from the Dice Tower actually got an original one, like, you know, without it being a zombie. So there was a lot of speculation about it. But they actually had a live stream today, and they released more information about it. So I actually recorded a Sunday show yesterday, and I was also talking about Marvel Zombicide in that video. But then I checked after the video, and I was like, wait, when are we actually going to hear more about this? And it was the next day, today. So I was like, well, let's just do another video, you know, record something else with the knowledge from the live stream. So that's what I'm doing. But in addition to that, I think I also missed the last 2 Sunday shows. And there's also a reason for that. And I was thinking about possibly making a new video for this, or a separate video, I should say. But just to get into a small rant, I think I'm kind of a little burnout from new campaigns. I'm not talking board games. I've actually been like reinvigorated to play a lot of the games. I think I got burnout, you know, a few weeks back, maybe a few months back, something like that. But since then, I've been itching to get out some games, and a lot of the games that I already have. But what I'm talking about is I've kind of gotten burnt out by just constant campaigns being launched. I mean, you guys know how it is in this industry, and I was trying to think about another industry that's this fast of a rotating door of something is announced, the campaign launches, it's hot. You know, everybody's talking about it. After about a week or so, it just completely dies down. And then after the game is released, you know, there's a lot of buzz about it again. Maybe there's a review playthrough, and then the game dies again. And then it's on to the next one. And this cycle just repeats constantly. Well, before I was just constantly checking Kickstarter, Gamefound, and I was just, you know, scrolling through updates, reading comments. Oh, there's a new game launching this day. There's a new game launching this day. But that was taking so much time and energy just trying to keep up with it, especially then when you start to make content about board games. Because let's face it, the views really come in through campaigns, right? All the newness, the hot stuff. So that's where a lot of views come from. So I was checking even more, and I just got a little burnout from it, trying to maintain and trying to stay up to date. So I think one of the reasons why I missed the last 2 Sunday shows was because, well, I just wasn't on Kickstarter or Gamefound as much. I was for, you know, Too Many Bones Unbreakable, Lords of Ragnarok, and crap, what was the other one? The other one that I backed. Man, my mind is slipping right now. But so I was, you know, checking those games, you know, through the updates and stuff like that. I think I covered some of them. But anyway, but past that, I was kind of staying off of Kickstarter and Gamefound. It was just becoming too much. I just couldn't keep up, especially when I wanted to do other videos about already existing stuff that I have. You guys know I've been putting out some Too Many Bones playthroughs. And besides that, I've just been wanting to play stuff just myself without actually recording the stuff. Now, that being said, I'm not saying any of these games on the campaigns look bad. I actually think they look really good. It's just the sheer volume, I just couldn't keep up. So with me wanting to put out playthroughs and actually play games, you know, which is why I got into the hobby, you know, I've kind of, you know, stayed a little bit off of Kickstarter and Gamefound as much as I, you know, so I didn't really have too much information for the previous Sunday shows that I could really share, or felt like, hey, I had enough information to actually talk about with you guys. So I want to know your thoughts. Are you guys kind of burnt out a little bit from all this constant new stuff? Again, I bought the games, to actually play them. I don't want to just buy games, collect and then they sit on the shelf. I actually want to play my purchases. So and I think I need to slow down a little bit with the campaigns. I already have a bunch in the pipe coming, so I'm just gonna have a ton of games, and I already have stuff that I haven't even played yet. If you guys watch the Enchanters playthrough with me and my buddies, I suggest you check it out. We had a lot of fun with that. But I did a separate angle where I actually looked this way in the room, and you can see like a shelf over here that's full of games, and then I have another shelf over here. So there's just a ton of games that I want to get to, and if I'm just constantly like buying all these new games from campaigns, when am I going to play all this stuff? How some of these people play all of these games on top of just regular, schedules, work, family time, and just, wanting to do other things besides board games is beyond me. So with the limited amount of time and me wanting to actually play some of the games, I haven't been able to get to some, campaigns as much as I want to. But that being said, I've been having a blast doing these. I just finished up a playthrough of The Edge Dawnfall. I was playing a solo game, and I got out Conan the other day doing a playthrough, and we'll talk about some of these with the games that I've been playing. But I've been doing more playthroughs and some coverage of some older games. Excuse me. Now, that's not going to get all the views in the world, right? Again, because most of the views come from the hotness. Whatever's new, whatever's launching and stuff like that. So even though the views won't be there as much, I like doing this. I don't want to just do, campaign coverage. So I'm going to stick to doing this a little bit more. I'm still going to have campaign coverage going forward. It's just right now, there's a small bit of burnout. So that being said, again, I might do a separate video about this. I don't know. If I get enough comments from you guys saying yes, please, let's dive into this a little bit more, I will do that. And plus, I just want to know your thoughts in general. But that's just the way that I'm feeling right now. So with that being said, let's also get into the brew. In kind of celebratory fashion, I got zombie dust out here to kind of say, to kind of complement the Marvel Zombicide announcement. So I'm just drinking this. This is Undead Pale Ale, and it has this little blurb here. It says, this intensely hopped and gushing Undead Pale Ale will be one's only despite after the zombie apocalypse. Created with our marvelous friends in the comic industry. And then it has the artist, Tim Seeley. I think I'm saying that name right. But it says here on the can, it's not normal. And I think it's 6.5%. But I really like this. I think Lauren drank this for our, I was going to say Marvel Zombicide playthrough, but our Zombicide Fort Hendricks campaign playthrough. I think she drank this. I could be mistaken, but I've since had this afterwards. It is really good stuff. So that is going to be the brew. Now let's get into the picture that I'm going to be showing off. Now, I've told you guys plenty of times on the previous Sunday shows, most of these pictures are from when I was a kid, and this is no exception. The crazy thing about this one is I did this 100% with Microsoft Paint, and I did this as a kid, so that was probably 12, 13, something like that, maybe 11. So I must have been using, Microsoft 95 or 98. But this is going to be Super Saiyan, I believe that's Gohan doing like a Kamehameha or some type of energy blast. But you can see here, I even colored it and everything. This is 100% done in MS Paint. And I'm just baffled that I actually had the patience and took the time to actually do this. Because, I had to be zooming in constantly, right? And I remember, kind of having to delete a lot over and over again. Because if you guys know, doing this, I had a mouse, right? So I had to make those lines as straight as possible. And if you guys also know, the smallest little, hit with your hand or, hit a bump on the table or something like that, the cursor is just whoo, it dings off, right? So it's not a straight line anymore. So I just had to be constantly deleting and redoing stuff. But I'm really impressed with it, man. I think it looks really good. I actually did 2 pictures on MS Paint when I was a kid. The other was a picture of Link from The Legend of Zelda, but it doesn't look as good as this one, but it's still pretty cool nonetheless. But yeah, I just thought this was, I really like it too. I think it looks really good. So I'll do some close-up shots shots of this. But that is going to be the picture of the day. Just crazy, man. Yeah, you can see like some of these lines are like hanging over, so it's like it's imperfect, but you know, it's I think it looks really good. So that is the picture of the day. So with that being said, let's get into games that I've been playing. Well, first up, I did mention I did a solo playthrough of The Edge Dawnfall. I recorded the whole thing. I'm in the middle of editing now. I'm hoping to have this up hopefully tomorrow, Tuesday, if not the next day. But it was a really good game. It came down to the end. I feel like most of my playthroughs do. But I had a blast with it. My initial thoughts are pretty positive. I think it's a cool, you know, it's simple, but there's a lot of strategery. There's a lot of strategic depth in this game. You can build your own deck, which I did for this game, and I had a lot of fun with it. I played the Dverger before. I kind of had trouble with them. They had some cool abilities like their banner card. 2 units could kind of combine for a single turn. It's kind of taking the best attributes from both cards. But I had trouble because I found their initiative was kind of lower. So I looked at the chapter. Some things were clicking, you know, with that. So I built a deck and it kind of turned out. I wish it would have went a little bit different. But the darkness is hard, man. There was even a section in the FAQ, and I joked about this in the video, that in one of the sections in the FAQ, I'm summarizing, but the question was basically like, is the darkness this hard? And the response was pretty much like, yes. We didn't want it to be like a breeze after the first 2 or 3 plays. You know, we wanted it to remain a challenge, you know, constantly. So every time you played, it was going to be a challenge. And it sure was a challenge. But I had a lot of fun. So also, I played a solo game of Conan. Now, a few months back, I played a solo game of Conan, but I used some different solo rules that I found on Board Game Geek on the forums. And that solo variant was okay, but I found it was a little bit too easy. This time, and I played 2 games of this, I used Monolith's solo rules. Now, from what I gathered, you might still have to make some changes depending on which scenario you play. And that's what I did. So I kind of, you know, in some cases I said, you know, what would I do, you know, using my best judgment. And that's what I did. And I had a lot of fun with it. The first time they wiped the floor with me, but the second time I just eked out a win. And I was playing the scenario, I forget what it's called, but we were trapped in this inn or this tavern and we didn't have our weapons. It was Conan, Shavathus, and Hadrathus. So we had to find our weapons in, you know, one of these random rooms, and we had to open up 4 chests. After we open up the 4th chest, we get some tools where we could open up a window if we were in a room with a window and basically escape through there. So it was a lot of fun, man. Not having the weapons severely crippled us. Even Conan rolling those red dice and being able to apply 5 dice to the, you know, the dice rolls for attacks. You get a penalty when you attack unarmed of -2. So I had to just put a lot of gems for each attack, and it was just like, some of it was risky, man, but I had a lot of fun. So I played 2 games of that. I already talked about The Edge Dawnfall. Cloudspire. I played a game of Endless Mode. That was the first time I played that. I've been itching to get Cloudspire back out. I really like that game, but I played as the Grige. And if you guys don't know, Endless Mode is basically like, you fight off these endless waves to see how long you can last. So it's pretty interesting. And you take on 3 different factions. And I faced the Heirs, Grove Tenders, and the Narora. And it was fun, man. I think I got to like wave 15. I didn't die. I just stopped because, and I took pictures of everything to continue later. But it was like one of those things where you could just keep on going. So it's like I had stuff to do. I couldn't leave it upstairs on the kitchen table. So I was like, time to pack it up, took pictures of everything. But it was a lot of fun. I really like the Grige. I like the evolve mechanic. Excuse me. I just think it's a lot of fun. They have some really cool units. So I had a blast with that. Past that, I don't think there's anything else that I played. Did I? I don't think so. Let's talk about some upcoming videos to expect from it. Now, I'm not going to give exact dates on when to expect these, but just to give kind of like, you know, in the near future. I'm going to have another playthrough of Too Many Bones, and I think I'm going to use Tink. Some people have been saying, some gear locks to use, and Tink has come up before, but I really like Tink. I love the bots, creating the bots, building them on your player board, using them for, attacks and stuff like that, while also managing Tink himself. I do like Tink, so I think I'm going to use Tink, and I don't know the Tyrant yet. So if you guys have any suggestions, I would love to hear it. Now, I don't know when I'm going to get to playing Tink. I think the plan right now, and I'm looking at some games I got to get unboxings for, man. I got too many videos, and too many ideas. I have some really good ideas for some videos. I want to do some, unboxings of some other playthroughs. Maybe do like a studio tour, give you guys a behind the scenes of what goes on around here. It's getting towards the end of the year. I want to start doing some top 10 lists, right? Maybe, I'm definitely going to do my top 10 games of all time. But I'm also thinking of maybe top 10 2021 games that I've played. That might be cool. Maybe get Lauren to do her top 10. So there's a lot of videos that I want to get to, just not a lot of time. And that's also what I was talking about before, of with all these videos and all these ideas, it's been harder to stay on Kickstarter and Gamefound and staying up to date with just all of this new stuff. It's hard, man. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to get this, the Edge Dawnfall solo playthrough up. That's going to be the next one. And I think the next one after that might be a playthrough of Cloudspire. I don't know if I'm going to do it in endless mode or just maybe another solo scenario. I'm not entirely sure. But then I want to get to Marvel Champions. So I think it's either going to be the Edge Dawnfall, Cloudspire, Marvel Champions, and then I think I'm going to do another Too Many Bones playthrough. I think that's going to be the order as far as playthroughs go. Or it's going to be, Edge Dawnfall, Marvel Champions, then Cloudspire, then Too Many Bones. I don't know. It's going to be one of those deals. So we'll have to wait and see. But more playthroughs. I got Dinosaur World over here that I need to still unbox. Kemet, Blood, and Sand. So there's a lot. I don't know if I'm going to unbox Marvel Champions, the core game. I might just unbox the Shadow, Mad Titan Shadow, something like that, the one with Thanos, the latest expansion. I think I might just unbox that. I'm not entirely sure, though. So that's basically videos to expect from me in the upcoming future. Now, let's switch gears, and let's go over a few of the campaigns that I am going to talk about. Now, again, on the note of not really looking into these too much, these aren't going to be like rules breakdowns. I mean, I guess I never do that anyway, but these aren't going to be deep dives into these campaigns. I'm just going to spend a few minutes just basically giving my initial thoughts about what I'm seeing. And then we'll also spend a little bit of time on the Marvel Zombicide announcement. So let's get into that right now. All right, so first up we have Monsterpocalypse by Mythic Games. This was on Kickstarter. This campaign has ended, but don't worry. There is a little section down here about, hey, missed the campaign. You will be able to late pledge this when the pledge manager opens. But also in addition to that, mostly what I've seen from Mythic Games is that they will be on their website. I don't know if that's true for every single game they made, but I mean, talking Reichbusters, Super Fantasy Brawl, Solomon Kane, what was the other one? Steam Watchers. And I don't know if they said Six Siege is going to go to retail or on their website anyway, but I do believe they do try to get their campaigns on there. So you might have to pay a little bit higher cost, but I do believe it is going to go there. So this did very well. This raised, let's see here, $1,310,000, 6,370 backers. So this is basically like, these giant monsters and mechs fighting each other on this cityscape. Awesome. This theme is super cool. And I do believe this is based on an already existing game called Monsterpocalypse. But what I think Mythic has done is they've taken that and turned it into a more palatable board game. And I do believe you still can if you have anything from the existing Monsterpocalypse. They even have a pledge here, and I believe that's what this is, the Veteran Pledge, aimed at veteran Monsterpocalypse returning players. So I do believe maybe if you already have some, you will be able to use that stuff in, the board game, format. I think that's a really cool idea. But either way, just looking at some of this stuff, I love the artwork. I love this, dude. I think the board looks cool. The minis are huge, right? I love the idea of the buildings. You can crash into the buildings. It's a dice chucker. I love dice chuckers. I think the movement's cool. You get like one diagonal movement and then everything else has to be orthogonally. And you got to kind of plan out your moves. You got to, position your forces, if you will, when they come onto the board. So there's some strategy with setup as well as, positioning and stuff like that. And I think it looks really cool. It looks like you roll a lot of dice as well, which is awesome. And I think it's something like, if you have dice allocated to units, which are everything besides your big monster, you have to use those dice for those units. And then after you roll them for the units, I then believe it goes into, your monster section. And now they can be used for rolling on the monster when you activate them, and then vice versa. So the dice are going to go back and forth, and I like that idea. And you can get stronger dice and stuff like that. And this is 1 to 4 players. It looked like a lot of fun. I did watch a little bit of the playthrough that Sam Healy had on Mythic Games YouTube channel, and I believe it was between him and his friend. But it looked like a lot of fun. It looks like there can be some really big moments in the game, right? I believe Sam's friend, I'm forgetting his name, but he had this turn where I think he like crashed into multiple buildings. He stomped on like 2 of these smaller units with his big monster, and it just looked like a lot of fun. That's what I'm trying to say. It just looked like straight up fun. So looking at the pledge levels, and it looks like there's a lot of units, like a lot of minis. Even the buildings look really cool. But so you got 59 for the veteran, 120 for the smasher pledge, and I believe this is just the core game. Then you have 159 for the crusher, and then 450 for the gameplay all in. This isn't everything, and it does say down here say, we may add new add-ons during the pledge manager. However, they will be purely cosmetic. So again, this 450 is just for gameplay. They could add some cosmetics, and they probably will. But the models themselves, and that's a lot of money. We'll get to that in just 1 second. But so looking at some of this stuff, they look fantastic. The models in here, I'm really digging them. They look really good, really cool, and they're huge too. But one thing I wanted to say about the core box specifically, and the buildings look good too, and you get a lot of stuff. You do get a lot of content in this box. I love the card artwork. I think that looks really good. 52 dice, and this is what I'm talking about. And you can smash buildings, throw opponents into buildings, so all that kind of cool stuff. But one thing I wanted to say, and you can watch some videos there, but where is here's the core pledge, 104 minis. Where is the section that I wanted to talk about quick? I believe this is it here. Okay, so the core box, the 120, it says 8 monster minis. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but can you only play as like 1 monster at a time, and then you get smaller units in addition to that, or can you put out like 2 monsters? Because if you can only do 1 monster at a time, 8 monsters, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, that's 8 possibilities for 120. I think that value is pretty good, especially with all the buildings. Like you get 24 buildings, 40 units. Those are the smaller types, all these other cards and stuff like that. So I believe the value for the core box is pretty good. And then, they have just a slew of expansions, as you can see here. Map packs, all these character packs, which the character packs are like 30 something a piece. But they look really good. Like some of the models with the add-ons, they look really good. Like some of this stuff, like look at this stuff, dude. Look at this. Monster Mash here. The models look fantastic. Like, look at this, dude. They look really good. Mythic has always had good looking minis. But the price, that is really expensive. Really expensive. Now, I know you're mostly paying for minis, and I know I've paid kind of this much before too, and you're just basically paying for minis. I get it. I just think right now for me, I can't spend that $450. That is just an astronomical amount for this. And I'm trying to shy away from, like, if I'm backing something, I'm trying to stay away from every single expansion. I reduced it for 6 Siege. I did it for a few other campaigns. I did it for, what was the, by Monolith? Mythic Battles Pantheon. Or no, Ragnarok, I'm sorry. I did it for that game as well. I'm trying to reduce all of the expansions because a lot of times, the stuff can sit. And especially if you're introducing the game to new players, which I'm either playing solo with the family or, I'm I'm introducing a new game to my buddies, we're probably just going to play the core game, just until they get it, and then possibly later on, add in the expansions. So I'm trying to reduce the amount of expansions sitting on the shelf. But I do think the 120 is a good value. I don't know if I'm going in for this right now as it stands, probably not, with the intention of hopefully it comes to their web store later and I just pick it up then. So I think for right now, I'm just going to save on that 120, and then plus, I don't know what shipping is going to be like. Do they have a little section about shipping? Usually it's down here at the bottom. What is this? Core pledge shipping. So 34 to the US for just the core pledge. So, it's expensive. I mean, everything's going up, but I do like Mythic as a company. They always deliver on, what they say. So, if you do go in with this campaign, I mean, you're going to be backing a good solid company. Nothing against the company. It's just a lot for me currently, especially with all these other games launching. So that is going to be Monsterpocalypse. I think the game looks really good. And to summarize, I think it looks like a lot of fun. A lot of fun, just expensive for what I'm looking for right now. So that's Monsterpocalypse. All right, next up we have the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, the board game. This is by Modiphius, and this is on Gamefound. There's still 13 days left. It's raised 879,000 euros with 5,072 backers. A lot. That is a lot. And they're knocking out stretch goals. This is, I don't know a whole lot about this. And there's a reason why I'm kind of hesitant to dive in more. And I mean, it's, maybe I should, but one thing that I'm noticing, first off, let me talk about some positives real quick. I think the artwork looks pretty good. Now, like especially on the board, the boxes, I do think they could probably use some work on the cards and stuff like that. I think the cards just have like a lot of information on them. And I did hear that some of the artwork is taken straight from the video game. I don't know. I mean, I guess that could be cool. It's kind of nodding at the video game in a sense, and some people might like that. But sometimes I do want to see their own original artwork. I think there's some fantastic artists out there that could probably turn those and really make some good looking stuff. And I don't know, like again, they could already have spoken on that. Maybe it will change. Again, I don't know enough about this. So if anything that I'm saying is wrong, forgive me and just let me know in the comments, and just correct me. So with that being said, I think the minis look good too. I think the campaign looks pretty good. You can see some of the tiers here. You got 92 for the base game tier, 189 for the gameplay, which looks like, probably stretch goals. It looks like 2 expansions here. And then you got 300 for the deluxe. And that comes with your playmat, metal coins, the works. So that's a good bit of money there too. But the models look good, the minis and stuff like that. You get a ton of content, it looks like. Just a ton of stuff. And then, like, you can see all here, all these minis look pretty good in this expansion. But what I wanted to say about this is that, let me go back up to the picture that basically just kind of, I guess we can use this right here. Let me move it up like this. I think that it just looks like there's a lot going on. A little bit too much than what I want to be doing right now. So, and again, I could be wrong. It could be, and this is also with the understanding of, hey, well, that's going to be some games, right? But if you spend the time and you dive into it a little bit, it could kind of, stuff will start to make sense, right? It'll start to click. You'll recognize symbols easier. The cards, you'll say, oh, okay, this does that. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, I don't know if I want to take that time right now for this. Like you can see here on the board, like you see all this stuff. Right up here, you got some spots for the cards. Is there a bigger picture that we can take a look at? Maybe this is a little bit better. You can see there's some spots for the cards over here. There's some cards set up over here. You got a whole nother box of cards that are organized like this. You got the player boards. You got all these tokens up here. And then even all the spots on the boards have all these different symbols. Now, it just looks like there's a lot going on. Like just looking at the player boards, you got all this stuff for, tracking, and that's what I'm talking about, like record keeping, like all these like stats. It's going to be easy to miss a lot of this stuff, at least for me. So you got to keep track of these stats here. You got a bunch of tokens on your board here. You got cards that look like they have to go in certain positions. You got all of these tokens over here that looks like there's a ton of tokens. You got to keep track of stuff up here in the top right, more cards down here that might be like objectives or something like that. And each spot on the board looks different as well. And you just got all these cards over here. It just looks like there's a lot going on. And it just looks like it's more than I want to get into right now. And I believe you can play this as a one-off and a campaign. And I believe it's probably going to be better as a campaign. It's one of those type of games. But I also heard that the solo mode is no slouch, right? They kind of designed this for if you want to play it as solo, it will still be a very good game. Like they really built the solo in mind when they were doing this. And you travel around the board doing different things, but just all the record keeping, like just taking a look at this here, like you got all these tokens here, pickpocketing, restoration, like look at the cards here, right here. It just looks like there's a lot going on, man. And again, I know if you play the game a few times, you're going to start to understand this easier, but still, it just looks like there's too much going on. And like look at all these cards here. You got all this stuff over here. And like even these cards, like look at this. You got even these symbols in the top right. These are all different. Even though these look the same, you got this here that's still slightly different. The top lefts of the cards look different. So I think it's just for me personally, this is just a personal thing. Right now, it just looks to be a little bit too much. And I do believe, like I would have liked to see them redo some of the design on the cards. I think it just looks like a little dated. Like they might be able to make it a little bit easier to distinguish what does what. But I mean, it could be a great game. This is nothing about the game. It could be really good. And you know what? If I play this, I could think it's fantastic. But just looking at some of this stuff, I mean, like, look, 380 tokens, and look how many different tokens there are. 30 cubes. You got the card divider, 239 quest cards, 64 event cards, 196 equipment cards, 46 upgrade, 41 status, 60 dungeon, 38 city, 25 followers, 67 encounter. I could go on, right? Now, me personally, like even some simpler games, and I'm not saying it's complicated, but what I'm trying to say is some games when there's a decent amount going on, I'm missing some stuff. So with this, it looks like there's going to be a lot of different things that you're going to need to track. And that's just going to make it more so of like, oh, did I get that? Oh, crap. You have those turns where you're like, oh man, I didn't do this last time. Oh man, and I missed this, and he wouldn't have hit me with that, and I would have had 1 armor against his attack because his attack is ranged from that distance away. All that kind of stuff. Some games are just too much, right? But if you do have that and you get through it, maybe it's still a fantastic game for you. I don't know. It could be. Just for me right now with this price, I think it's just going to be, and plus I don't have any ties to Skyrim. So if you have ties to Skyrim, you've played the video game a bunch of times, this could be right up your alley, right? And it could be fantastic. And I have heard that it does kind of feel like the video game. They kind of took elements from that and the conversion was pretty good. So that's great. That's fantastic to hear. But me, without having any ties, it looks like there's too much record keeping with the price. I just don't know if I can, well, I know I can't commit to this. So I won't be going in for this. But again, for some, it could be, it looks really good. I do like some elements that I'm seeing, and it could be a fantastic game. I don't know enough about it. And I just don't know, like looking at that, my initial thoughts are, it makes me not want to dive into it as much, especially with, again, all these other campaigns launching and all these other videos and games that I want to get to. So that's going to be the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. I'll put links to this down below. Like I said before, there are 13 days left. So if you want to know more about this, please visit the campaign page and, find out for yourself. All right, and last up, Marvel Zombicide. So just a little recap in case you guys don't know. Most of you probably do. Some content creators were, first off, CMON teased at their 50th Kickstarter or their 50th campaign. So they were going to team up with Spin Master, who they've done before for the Marvel United. So there was a lot of speculation about, it probably being something to do with Marvel. So some content creators were sent this huge Galactus that you see on the screen, 2 feet tall by 17 inches wide, and it was a zombie Galactus. But Tom from the Dice Tower was sent a regular Galactus. So very interesting. So there was a lot of speculation with that as well. And if you guys don't know, Cthulhu Death May Die, there was an add-on for, I think it was an add-on, but for a huge Cthulhu mini, and I believe it was about this size, that you could get as well. And it was kind of playable, right? I think it had its own scenario and whatnot. So it was kind of like, but they sent this with a little pamphlet, and on there it had the Zombicide logo with Marvel. So it was kind of understood to be some sort of Marvel Zombicide. And funny enough, I guess Marvel has some comics where the superheroes are actually zombies. So it kind of was making sense that it was some sort of Marvel Zombicide. So they had a date, and again, this is one of the reasons why I'm releasing this video now. They put out a date for today, Monday, that they were going to do a live stream to go over more information about this, and they did. So I did check this out, and here you can see it looks like the box cover for Marvel Zombicide. So there was a panel of 4. They were talking about the game. First up, the artwork looks really good, but basically, as you can see here on the screen, the superheroes are zombies. So, and you can see here. So I did check out the live stream, and you can see here on the screen Marvel Zombicide. The artwork looks pretty cool. And there was a panel of 4 kind of discussing, giving some more information about this. But basically, it is a Zombicide, and you are playing as the heroes, but the heroes are zombies. And from what I gather, instead of the zombie hordes coming at you, it's going to be, I think, the Shield, the agents of Shield and stuff like that I believe are going to be coming at you to stop you. So they're not going to be zombies coming at you. You are the zombies. And I do believe they were saying in the live stream, like, you're not going to go into buildings and find like knives and stuff like that. You're basically going to have powers, that you're basically going to have powers already. You're not going to be finding stuff like that, but you are going to have to consume. You're going to have to eat bystanders and people like that. So you're going to be, the pimp weapon crates and stuff like that is actually going to be like people for you to consume. So you're going to have to go consume these bodies, and you're going to be able to get like temporary powers and stuff like that. But also you're going to have to manage eating people, because if you don't, you're going to basically, I forget what the term that they use was, but basically you're going to go into this like uncontrollable kind of rage. And so you're still going to be able to function, but instead of maybe going into a crowd of like, of shield agents and doing this huge attack, you're only going to like target one. So it's a negative. So you're going to have to manage eating people so you don't go all the way up, while also like deciding, when to kill people and stuff like that. Because I believe like those turns where you would eat someone or consume someone, they're not going to feel like that turn that you really want to do, but you're going to have to still manage that. And then I believe like the abominations are going to be like other regular heroes. So you're actually going to be doing like hero battling back and forth with the abominations, also fighting the shield agents. So it's going to be something like that. And I do believe maybe this pimp weapon crate or the consuming the bystander, maybe that's a permanent upgrade. I'm forgetting exactly. Yeah, I watched the live stream earlier, so I'm forgetting some things now. But I believe there's going to be like temporary things that you can get as well as permanent abilities. But like each, like Captain America here, he's still going to have his shield. That's going to be like a permanent thing. So you're not going to find these weapons is basically what I'm gathering. So I don't know, and I don't believe they answered this, if you're going to have both versions of like, say like you get Captain America as a zombie and you're going to be able to play as them. Are you going to get both versions? So like, are you going to get a regular Captain America and a zombie, just in case you're not playing as Captain America the zombie? They can now be an abomination. I don't exactly know. So it's going to be something like that. And they're going to have this, I believe, in like New York City and other places where, the Avengers and other Marvel stuff has taken place. So there was also some artwork here. Like you can see some of the boards here. It looks pretty good. You got this Avenger symbol that's basically crashed down. So then you got like some headquarters stuff. The artwork looks really good. And I believe also that they had some other tiles. Where was it? Yeah, right here. So here's some other artwork as well that you can see. So the artwork looks really cool. It's in standard like Zombicide fashion. I think the artwork looks fantastic. And I believe there's going to be like 9 tiles again, or maybe a little bit more. And I don't know if they said, oh yeah, you are going to be able to get this. And the cool thing is, and one thing I was wondering was, are you going to have to buy like a zombie version of Galactus and a regular version? Because remember, there was 2 sent out, 2 different models. But actually the head and the arm here is swappable. So with a regular Galactus and a regular arm, because right now this is like the Zombicide arm. So this is going to be swappable. And I do believe they're probably going to have this playable as like a, some form in Zombicide. Now, in addition to that, why was this big? I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that they have some sort of crossover with Cthulhu Death May Die. Because again, they put out a model this big for Cthulhu Death May Die, that giant Cthulhu Bigature or Maxiger, whatever you want to call it. So it might be something like that. I hope it is, because that would just be a shame if it wasn't, right? Just be able to use this in Cthulhu Death May Die. Why not, right? So I do believe you're going to be able to get this. They're probably going to have just a slew of expansions like generic, Zombicide. Now, some people are kind of like, more Marvel, more Zombicide. I get it, man. I'm a little there, right? I don't even have every Marvel game out there. I got Marvel United, just the core box, and I haven't even dove into Marvel Champions yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. But past that, I don't have too much. So it's like, how much? Oh, and I pre-ordered Marvel Dice Throne, so I have more coming. How much Marvel do you need? Now, I get it. This is going to sell. They're probably also trying to get people on the fringe edge of board gaming, right? Like, Zombicide has always kind of captured those edge case people, right? It's like people that don't really game too much, but they see this and it looks really cool. It's simple enough, so they dive in. And this is kind of going to play on that hardcore. I think it's going to be very successful. Few million at least, right? Especially Zombicides. They're just they raise a few million every time. I am kind of glad I didn't go in on Undead or Alive, which the PM just closed like a few weeks ago, and they already have a new Zombicide coming out. And I don't know if it's going to be different enough for me to back it. We'll have to wait and see. They do have a campaign page, like a preview, so go ahead. I'll put links to this in the description below. But we don't have a date yet. But you can, follow to be alerted. So that's kind of all we have. We have bits and pieces here. I wish they would have spent more time discussing some things on that live stream. It was only an hour long, and I think it could have been like easily 2-3 hours. But either way, it looks pretty interesting. Again, I'll have to wait and see. Zombicide, I already have all of 2nd edition, most of it. And I'm kind of like at that point of, one of the reasons why I didn't go in on Undead or Alive was because I already have all this stuff for 2nd edition, and I don't know if I needed any more Zombicide. Is it going to be different enough? I don't know. But one thing to know is if this is, it is something that you can get, this giant Galactus. If you are thinking about getting it, get it now, because that Cthulhu, that giant Cthulhu for Death May Die, you can't really get that anymore unless you spend like $500, $600 on eBay. So if anything, this is an investment for you to get some money later. So yeah, man, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear, are you burnt out from Zombicide? Are you burnt out from Marvel stuff? Or are you just kind of like, hey, they probably should have done something a little bit different, right? I don't know. So just let me know your thoughts on all these games that I touched on, as well as the kind of the burnout from all this new stuff or anything else that comes to mind. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and just engaging with you guys has been awesome. So I want to thank you guys for watching. And until next time, grab some brews, play some games. I'll catch you on the next one. All right, take care.